So, VK on the beat, check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1602 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Season 7 of Yes, We Are Open, an award-winning podcast from Monaris, hosted by FOTM Al Grego. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, making his Toronto Mic'd debut, is Douglas Cameron alongside FOTM Banjo Dunk. This is Whiskey Jack. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Good to be here.
Mm-hmm.
At your age, it's good to be anywhere.
I see you haven't dug out the basement since I was here last.
Well, you're shrinking, so I feel it's perfect. Good to see you. You've been in the basement a few times now because you've been a co-host for some episodes of Toronto Mic'd.
Yes, and I must say I was on your website yesterday just looking at the alumni, the list of
the
people.
Guests
So
link.
I see there were musicians, there were print people, they were even had a category for miscellaneous. And but nowhere was my name to be seen, so I had to go down to the bottom. At the bottom, there was sponsorship, and there I was. So I paid to get my name on that goddamn list.
By any means necessary. You did pay to get on the list, but I will just make sure I'm crystal clear to the listenership, the FOTMs, to Tyler Stewart listening right now. I need to be crystal clear. You did not give me even one red cent, not a penny, for this appearance right now. This is completely authentic and organic that I have Whiskey Jack on the program.
Correct. I did not pony up a penny. You did not pony up a penny.
Well, I didn't say I didn't pony up a penny, but you definitely did not. And I want to just be transparent because I got this email from a Karen wrote me, and I don't mean a Karen in the defamatory sense. I received an email from a Karen, and this Karen had two complaints. This email arrives in my inbox this morning from a Karen, and I take these emails very seriously. It's like, why is Banjo Duncan Fremlin the Great? Why is he under sponsors instead of under musicians, where he'll be for this episode? And then why did it take so long to get Douglas? And Douglas, do you prefer I use your middle name, Douglas John Cameron?
Well, that's sort of how I'm going these days, Douglas John Cameron.
Okay, I can adapt here. Okay, so Douglas John Cameron, why did it take so long? So, Dunk, who is this Karen that is harassing me via email?
Well, obviously a fan of, she listens to your program.
I can flesh out this story a little bit if you want to know.
Yes, please.
If you want to know the truth.
I want the real talk.
Well, I get this text this morning with a suggestion that I coerce my spouse, my sweetheart, to send it the part about why haven't you had me on your show before? And Lily is a high-powered lawyer, and she just gave me a withering look. And,
I'm not doing that.
And said, no.
Dunk's always up to something, eh?
It's too much. It's way too much. It's like every single thing that can happen. He's looking for an opportunity to do something to make it outrageous, to attract attention.
It was a wrong that had to be righted. And I couldn't think of any other way to do it. I didn't want to come here and say to you, Mike, this is real talk and this is the way it is. What the hell's going on with that?
But I would have appreciated that. Like I would have actually, if you said to me, Mike, I'm worthy of being under musicians, not under sponsors, because that was recording was during your brief period pre-pandemic when you were sponsoring the program.
No,
I would have moved it.
No, I wouldn't want to get it that way. I would. It's like me calling. It's like me calling the Ontario Country Music Association and saying, "Hey guys, why don't you nominate Whiskey Jack as for the Hall of Fame?" It would be like me doing that, and I would never do that, Mike.
You've never done that.
No.
Give me I would say a stack of Bibles. I want you to swear on the Ridley Funeral Home measuring tape.
However, I may get my wife to do this.
This is why the word Karen is used so negatively. It's because you keep using your wife's email account. Can I talk to the manager? All these angry emails coming from a Karen in the GTA. Okay, so Dunk, you're a great friend of the program, been on many times, but am I right that this is the first time in the history of 1,600 plus episodes of Toronto Mike that Douglas John Cameron's voice has been on the mics?
Taking that long.
It's true. It's very true. Although I did come here once to either pick Duncan up or drop something. I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, maybe you were dropping off books?
I had, yes.
Maybe.
I had some occasion.
The Stomp and Tom book.
To come here.
Can you still buy that book?
Yeah, I have a few left. I've sold 1,600 of these books, by the way.
So tell people quickly, and we'll get back to this story about his parents copulating on my street. But how exactly can someone pick up the book? What is it called? Do it off the top, and then we'll.
Yeah, it's called My Good Times with Stomp and Tom. It's still available on. I mail it out on the whiskeyjackmusic.com. You can buy it there. I have it at most of my shows, and I'm working on a second book right now that will sort of piggyback onto this book. It's called Stories Not Fit for the Stage. It's an anthology of stories that I've accumulated over the years from, being on the road and hanging out with Tom and Tommy Hunter and all those other characters.
Wow.
But I've also gotten stories from FOTMs. Brian and Bruce Good gave me a story for the book. Andy Kern from Coney Hatch gave me a story for his encounter with Paul McCartney. I have it's going to be it's a very exciting project. At first, I was just going to I just needed some new products. So I thought, over the course of the winter, I'll write another book and get it published. And for the tour next 2025, I'll have some new books to sell. And then I was talking to my friends, and next thing you know, they're all sending me stories. And I thought, well, I'm going to make this into something a little bigger. So, because we all have stories, I'm sure Toronto Mike has a story about some bizarre encounter that happened down here in this weird little basement of yours.
I have been approached to write a book because, over 12 years, 1,600 episodes. I've got a story too, like this guy who keeps using his wife's email account to harass me. I got a story about that. So, Dunk.
Yeah.
We're going to get back to you, of course. I got some music.
Okay,
here.
before we do that, do you mind, Mike, if I just take a little bit of time? So the very first guitar player, this is serious, Douglas. Okay. The very first guitar
Douglas,
player
we'll get back to you,
for Whiskey Jack,
okay.
his name is Paul Wickham. Okay. And he died a couple of days ago. I just found out from his brother yesterday.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so I can say easily here that there would be no Whiskey Jack today had it not been for Paul Wickham. So he was an incredible guitar player, worked at Cosmo Music up in Richmond Hill for most of his life, toured with us for a year and a half, and was just instrumental in us getting this thing off the ground. And a great man. The family itself is a renowned. Darcy Wickham is his brother. He's a famous teacher in the city, guitar teacher. It's in the family. The music's in the family, but it's a great loss. It happened very quickly, and I just wanted to salute, shout out to Paul Wickham.
Okay, you know what? I was gonna get on you for interrupting my Douglas John Cameron intro here, but that was actually really tender and sweet. So I can't get on you for that one. But Douglas, I'm sure there'll be more opportunities. But Douglas John Cameron. I'm going to ask, so maybe we set the table by you telling me now when and how you met Banjo Duncan Fremlin.
Okay, so that's a great story. I was living on Eaton Avenue, just up from the Eaton Tavern, the famous Eaton Tavern on the Danforth. And I have a dear friend who at one time lived in Peterborough in Ottawa. He's a guitar builder, instrument maker. He now lives in Denver. And he created this instrument called a banjola, which is a kind of hybrid mandola banjo. Anyway, he made me his Canadian representative to try to flog these. And so I had a little event at my house, and my friend Edward came up, and we were playing banjola, and I sent out emails to everyone I know, and a bunch of people came over to the house, and we were going to have a little performance and try to sell these banjolas. And I look out in the audience, and there's only one person I don't know, and it's this weird little guy sitting there, kind of hunched over with a kind of a sour look on his face as everything's going on. I think, oh, I don't know that guy. That guy disappears at some point, and I think, oh, I never think about him again. Next thing, he shows up, and he buys 2 banjolas. So suddenly, the number of banjola players in Canada has doubled because I'm the only other one, and I have fulfilled my obligation to try to sell banjolas.
Well, you met your quota.
And so then Duncan was at that time, shortly afterwards, was putting on. It was just after Stompin' Tom had died, and he was putting on his sort of annual birthday party show, and we ended up doing it at the Eaton Tavern, and Duncan asked me to help him, and we became friends. And I started.
So what year approximately?
Oh God, when was that?
Like what era?
2014.
2014.
Okay, so 10 years. You're in your 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I started hanging around Whiskey Jack. And they'd be playing at the Cadillac Lounge or, someplace. And I'd hang around and I'd bring my mandolin, and Duncan would ask me to come up and play, and the other members would look at me with scowls on their faces like, who are you? What are you doing here?
Right.
And I don't know what it was, but I thought to myself, I really want to be in this band. And eventually, I weaseled my way in, and I became the guitar player, initially because Bob, who the wonderful guitar player and singer, was having medical issues and couldn't play guitar, so I started doing the guitar parts. And then I took over singing when Bob finally had to retire from the band. And this is an interesting thing now. Yeah. I'm obviously, as a guitar player in Whiskey Jack, I'm following in great footsteps, and I'm, this story about Paul and Bob and all these guys.
Keeps going.
Well, since you're fresh meat, Douglas, I'm going to take you pre-Banjo Dunk. Okay?
Yes.
So, because when I, first met, and Dunk, am I right that it was Tyler Stewart who turned you on to what was going on in this basement?
Yeah, I was sitting in the dressing room, and I asked him one day after a game, what's your favorite podcast? Because I kind of just started to explore that, and he said, well, Toronto Mike. I think he might have just been on your show not long before.
Well,
that.
Tyler Stewart, I love that guy, and we correspond. I've been trying for like almost a decade to get him back in the basement, but glad we had the long first episode. And I'm glad he introduced me to you. So we got to know each other. You came over. You'd come to events. I definitely saw Douglas John Cameron at a TMLX event at Great Lakes Brewery.
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, I can't believe like Dunk is playing in Whiskey Jack with Douglas John Cameron, and that Douglas John Cameron is responsible for this song that that I heard as a kid. I'm not trying to date you here, but I heard it as a 10-year-old or something. Can I play the song, and can you give us the definitive the definitive story of this song, and then we'll find out who the heck were you pre-Dunk, if you will. I kind of like that expression, pre-Dunk here. So here is the song. So it's, you know your song, so it's going to take a bit here, but let's drink it in, and then we'll talk about it. Douglas, please tell me everything you can about this song that I feel like I've been hearing it for 40 years now, and it's been in my head for 40 years. Please tell me about Mona with the Children.
Wow, hearing it like that with the headphones on is amazing. I haven't listened to it like that for years. It is 40 years next year that it was released. Well, as I'm listening to it, I'm thinking about the musicians who were playing on it. Kevin McKenzie on drums. I don't know if you know Kevin McKenzie. In the 80s, there were two or three, maybe 3 or 4 studio drummers that played in Toronto. Kevin was one of them. Dave Pilch on bass. Dave, who now lives in California and has toured with, everybody on earth and recorded. Michael Francis, Pepe Francis, playing electric guitar. I can't think of who else. I find it so thrilling to hear it like that, the way it builds. So what had happened? In the 80s, I was a member of the Baha'i Faith, and I had started working on musical projects that had to do with the Baha'i Faith, mostly to do with kids and youth, mostly recordings that were not going out to the general public necessarily, just sort of distributed amongst the Baha'i communities worldwide. And this story emerged of this young woman in Iran who had been executed along with 9 other women in 1983, I believe. And I was working on some music for a youth conference, a Baha'i youth conference, and I was asked to write a song about Mona. And I'll tell one story that sort of puts it in perspective. I thought to myself, not possible. Can't write a song about this. This is too horrible a thing. How can you write a pop song? And I was living in Peterborough at the time, and I was walking to go to my girlfriend's house one, I think it was a Sunday night, just to go over and, I don't know, have a dinner and watch TV or something. And, okay, the guys are giving me the eye. That's terrible. Anyway, I was walking off the curb in front of the police station in Peterborough, and I got the idea of dancing. And I thought, oh, dancing. Well, okay. Maybe you could write a song about that. I went home. I did not stay over at my girlfriend's that night. I went home to where I was living, and I started to fool around with the guitar and started to make up this song. Long story short, I did a version of this song that's different than this version that was originally released to the Baha'i community. And about 2 years later, in 1985, I was sort of deciding not to be a pop star. I had tried for a couple of years. I wasn't really getting anywhere. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go to university, become a teacher. And around the same time, the person who had asked me to write the song called me and said, we've got some people together. We want to tell the story of Mona. We're going to make a music video. Music videos were brand new. Much Music was just around.
Launched in 84. We just did the 40th anniversary.
Yeah. And music videos were a big deal because they were becoming the way in which music was being promoted, but they were also a way in which the artist kind of became available to the listener. So this video was made, and on the day that the video was being shot, the very first day, it was shot over 3 days in Toronto and around Toronto. Bernie Finkelstein from True North Records phoned up and said he knew Jack. We had presented all my demos to him, Jack Lenz, who was the producer. Bernie phoned up and said, I want to put this out. There has to be an artist. There has to be an album. So in very short order, I had a record that was being put out by
True North?
By True North Records, which was a lifetime dream of mine from when I was a kid. But here's the funny story. So I had to rewrite the lyrics for the song when we were doing the video because the original song didn't really tell the story in the same way. And that was a little bit of a feisty process because I didn't really want to rewrite it, but I ended up rewriting it. And the only thing that was left from the original song was the idea of dancing. And as I was singing the lead vocal, which is the vocal you heard there, there was some discussion in the control room by all the people involved saying that they wanted to change this idea of dancing. And if I remember it this way, and I at that point didn't really care. I changed a lot of it, but I thought to myself, no, I'm not going to change the dancing idea. And they said, I said, look, if you want to change it, that's fine with me, but you'll have to get someone else to sing it. And so they said, go ahead, sing it. If we need to change it, we will. Don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. Next day, Jack comes to me with a letter in his hand that had received overnight from Mona's sister, who had escaped with her mother, I think, to Yemen, out of Iran. Mona and her father were both executed, and her mother and sister escaped. And the sister went to visit Mona in the prison, and just before these women were executed. And Mona said to her sister, please pray we go to our execution dancing.
Wow.
And I said to Jack, good thing we didn't change that lyric.
Wow.
Because to me that encapsulates the whole story. This young woman wanted to say something to the world. And my little bit and getting this idea of dancing, which so obviously connects to what she wanted. And that's how I feel about the whole thing, to be perfectly frank. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to have had that experience.
Well, it's a wonderful song. Like, I heard it in 85, I guess. I saw the video. So I'm trying to think of where I would have seen it. It would have been either like, I don't know, where would they have played it? Video Hits?
Oh,
Toronto,
yeah.
so
Toronto
Rocks?
Toronto Rocks, Video Hits.
Yeah, I watched both.
I was on both those shows and interviewed on those shows. I was Video Hits CBC.
Yeah.
Toronto Rocks was
Samantha Taylor on CBC
Yes.
was Video Hits, and then on City TV was John Major.
John Major.
Toronto Rocks, the late great John Major.
That's right. And you know, it was fascinating to see how people responded to the video. Incredible response to the story. Part of the video, it's so funny because I live in Riverdale. Part of the video was shot at the Don jail because the Don jail was built the same year as the jail in Iran that these women had been imprisoned in. What else? Oh, and Kevin McKenzie, the drummer, lives right around the corner from me.
There you go.
I see him walking our dogs all the time.
Well, you know, Banjo Duncan attests to this. When I learned that you guys were performing together in Whiskey Jack and any other projects that may or may not have existed, I can't confirm or deny there was ever a Doogie and Dunk. I don't know, but I can tell you, I couldn't believe you were the one and the same. Like the Douglas John Cameron who performed Mona with the children. Like it was like I discovered some archaeological relic or something. And it was like, oh my goodness! And you it's like I couldn't believe that you're that guy. And then even when I was promoting this episode, multiple people through various channels would say like the Douglas John Cameron who sang Mona with the children. Like so, how like I know it was played on Video Hits and it was played on Toronto Rocks, and that's where I would have heard it. Would you have got radio airplay with that song?
Tons.
Okay,
tons.
so what stations? Do you remember what stations would play? Like, I'm thinking at that time, like because they had gone top 40 at that point, like 104.5 would 680 CFTR play that? Like, where would you hear Mona with?
I don't really remember, but it hit top 10 in Toronto, top 20 in Canada.
Wow,
if I remember correctly.
Wow,
it was on everywhere.
Yeah.
The radio, I remember, you know, I don't remember the radio stations particular, but it was probably all the great pop stations.
I mean, the top 40 we got. Yeah.
Yeah. I eventually was deemed to be adult contemporary. And that in some ways was the death knell of my...
Well, that's my tender next question is, so there must have been pressure, like, and Bernie's like, you know, I need another hit or something. I don't know how it works. Bernie's been in the basement. He's an FOTM. You're now an FOTM, Douglas John Cameron. So you join esteemed greats like Tyler Stewart and Banjo Dunk on the...
and Bernie Finkelstein.
And Bernie Finkelstein, absolutely. Who, I've been trying to get Bruce Coburn on Toronto Mike for so long. I've stopped asking. Bernie's like, oh, maybe soon, maybe soon, maybe soon. I'm still waiting. So, but I've got Douglas John Cameron here. So, was there any pressure to follow that up with another top 10 hit?
Well, here's the great irony of the whole business is that just before Mona with the Children, I had shopped demos to every record company that you can imagine and been turned down by every record company, including True North. When Mona with the Children got put out, all the demos that I had shopped, those were the songs that were on the album.
Right.
The thing about Mona with Children and my career, because then I was Doug Cameron and I was, Mona with the Children, it was what was called a perceived hit. It was a hit on the radio. It was a hit on the video channels. It did not sell. And it only sold 15,000 copies, the album. So at that point, as a commercial venture and in terms of the record companies, it wasn't going to work. And I tried to do another album, and I took demos and shopped them to all the record companies, True North, everybody, and everybody turned them down. And at that point, and it took a couple of years, and I got the message, and I said, okay, I'm going to try something else, because I was already 30, and I couldn't see myself without an income, without some meaningful employment. So I went to university and I studied singing at York University. And after I graduated, I did not get a job as a teacher as I'd hoped. I ended up writing music for television, which I did for about 20 years.
That's interesting. So any shows I know?
I worked on a show. Well, I worked on a bunch of shows. One of the first shows I worked on that had any notoriety was called Ants in Your Pants on Treehouse TV. And I was in a bunch of the episodes, and I wrote a bunch of songs for them. I wrote a bunch of songs for shows on Treehouse. They were great. I loved working for them. I worked on a show called Doc that starred Billy Ray Cyrus.
Of course, yes, of course. And that's why Miley Cyrus spent so much time here as a kid.
That's right. And I met Miley Cyrus as a kid.
Okay.
And I also did a bunch of recording with Billy Ray Cyrus, which was total fun and wacky, totally wacky.
We can no longer call that gentleman a one-hit wonder because he had a smash hit with Lil Nas X, Old Town Road. So you can no longer refer to the Billy Ray Cyrus as a one-hit wonder. But we can refer to Douglas John Cameron as a one-hit wonder, right?
No, not really, because
because of Whiskey Jack.
No, not at all. He got a Juno nomination for the Monish song, but he just mentioned a song a few minutes ago called "Ants in Your Pants," and that was a hit as well. It's just that it wasn't a hit amongst the adult crowd.
If you were 5 years old between the years of 1995 and 2005. You knew Ants in Your Pants.
Okay, because I have he'll be 23 next month, and I think I just miss because he was a big Treehouse guy, but he arrives on the planet in 2002, and then by the time he's probably absorbing that content, maybe it's a little post Ants in Your Pants. Like I think I missed it. Maybe I missed it by this much.
Well,
if he's like, or maybe I shouldn't have missed it, but I would have put on my blinders.
Well, no, it I think they went on the air in '95. I can't remember exactly, and it was on for 10 years. When Ants in Your Ants in Your Pants was a video show for preschool kids, half hour of song videos with a little bit of puppet stuff going on. And I think the first season was 52 episodes. I was in 50 of them. It went on the air 4 times a day, 7 days a week. And if you were anywhere near a television and you were under the age of 5, you watched Ants in Your Pants. And when I started going out doing live shows for kids. And the first one I did, I can't remember, somewhere up near Richmond Hill where I was living. And I didn't wear the hat that I'd worn in the video. And the crowd was angry, like visibly angry that I didn't have my hat on. Where's your hat? And so I learned my lesson very quickly. I used to go out west because... this was the most popular Ants in Your Pants song with the fathers.
When you step in the puddle, it's your wee head soaked. When you fall in the lake, Do you like to eat porridge when it's time to have your breakfast? Would you rather have tea and little oat cakes? A cry, that's my bonny wee lassie. A cry, that's my bonny wee lad. Your socks get soggy.
That's you, man.
Step in the puddle. It's your wee head so
Do your socks get soggy?
lake.
So it sounds to me like the show, which I now regret missing, was like
It's your wee head so
much music for kids.
It was. And it was incredibly popular and incredibly successful. I'll tell you a funny story about that song.
Yeah.
I got the job to write the songs for Ants in Your Pants in the last week of August. They were going on the air in November. I had to write 10 songs in a week and a half and supply them. And I was going like stink trying to write all these songs and record them because they were shooting the videos one a day. They were shooting a video every day
Right.
when they started. They came to me and said, we need something Celtic.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay. So I did all this. I did this track of kind of like a fiddle tune, like what you're hearing there. And there were no lyrics and no singing. I thought they want a Celtic tune. It's instrumental. And I gave it to them and they said, well, this is great, but we need lyrics. And I said, okay. So I went in the little room and I said, okay, I'm coming out a half an hour later with the lyrics. And these were the lyrics about your socks getting soggy.
Do your socks get soggy?
And then they said, okay, now you have to find somebody with a Scottish accent to sing it because you can't sing it. You've been in too many of these videos. And they couldn't find anybody. So I did it myself.
I was climbing a big Munro, you know, and I had no idea there was a great big puddle the size of a lake on the other side that I could fall into. Well, you can imagine, my guilt was all a myth. I was covered in seaweed and filthy mud. Ah, I looked a dreadful sight. The wee old mum, she was terrified. She said I looked like the Loch Ness Monster. Well, I had to laugh because I'm no wee beauty, that's for sure. The truth is I fell in a puddle and my socks got soggy. Do your socks get soggy when you step
Look,
in a puddle? No?
If Mike Myers
You
can put
say
on a
your
Scottish
socks
accent
don't
for
get soggy.
Shrek, you can do this for
Well, that
Ants in Your Pants.
that song, I have it up on my YouTube channel, and it has hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
And so many people that say that they really enjoyed it. And when I used to perform, the fathers would all come to me after the show and say, "That's the song we like, the Soggy Sock song. We like that one." It was so much fun. And I'll tell you, I used to do shows at Ontario Place.
Yeah, the Forum.
In the children's
in the
vil-
children's
in the-
section.
well, I did play once at the Forum, which
Okay.
was an amazing treat. But that was with Mona. No, so I do like 3 shows in an afternoon, and I'd be there for 2 weeks or something. And I remember once I'm singing "Ants in Your Pants." I'm looking out at about 200 people. They're all singing along and doing the actions. And I thought, Douglas, you wrote 2 hit songs. One was called "Mona with the Children," and one was called "Ants in Your Pants." Because what's a hit song? It's a song everybody knows and that they love. And I thought, well, at least for this demographic, this is a hit song.
Well, as it turns out, let's fast forward, Douglas. So this past summer, we started including Ants in Your Pants. We play provincial parks all summer. We played 10 last year. And this is a family. They're there. Everybody's in a good mood. It's really the ideal
Yeah,
gig.
I
And
go
so-
to a provincial park every summer.
Yeah, that's our. I see that.
When are you going to play the Pinery?
Well, as soon as they
Where's the Pinery?
pony up the bucks.
It's down. It's by Goderich. If you did Goderich and Sarnia, it's in the middle
Yeah.
on Lake Huron.
So we've been playing
Like
this
Grand
song.
Bend.
We've been
Yeah.
playing this song at all of our summer shows, and we were at, I think it was at Killarney the first time we
Love
did this.
Killarney.
And so, we combine it with a Stompin' Tom song called the Bug Song.
Okay.
And it's very fun. Anyway, we start doing the dance with the audience, and it was so funny the first time it happened. We had to stop the song. We were laughing so hard. Everybody in the audience we weren't expecting this at all.
Right.
There's something contagious about this song that
Okay, so now I take back the one-hit wonder snark. Okay,
no.
Because
Please,
absolutely,
please.
I was unaware of this chapter. That's why you're here, man. We're learning so much about you because we're going to get it back to Whiskey Jack in a moment here. But I had all these questions for decades about Mona with the children, and I didn't even realize you had this fantastic. You're sort of like the Fred Penner. You're like a Fred Penner-esque figure.
he's better looking than Fred.
Well,
Well, it also showed the power of television and kids television, because that, as soon as it was taken off the air, that all disappeared. It all went away. And I do still do some kids performing, but not like I used to.
But did you ever consider leaning in Raffi style or something? Like just this is my new brand.
I did, and for that period of time, I pursued it fairly diligently. I recorded I recorded a couple of kids' albums, which I don't know if they're even available in any way.
But it's a tough.
Well, there was a lot of competition, and there were already some very established stars. I think I did pretty good considering what I did.
Tell them that story of you walking into the dressing room that time with the other kids stars.
Well, it's not a very nice story.
This is real talk.
It's when I was starting out doing kids music.
Yeah,
it happened accidentally. I wrote some songs with somebody who sort of wrote little kid songs, and I started playing them here and there. It was no big deal. And then I got the Ants in Your Pants job, which really kind of threw it into gear. And very early on, someone asked me to sing at a telethon in Hamilton. I think it was for a hospital. I can't remember. And I thought, oh, this is great. Like, what a great opportunity. Be on TV and sing. So I go to Hamilton. It was a Sunday morning. And I thought, oh, I'm going to meet a lot of other kids entertainers. Won't this be fun? I'll enjoy this. And I walk into the dressing room, and not a soul said hello. And
wow, you're the competition.
Well, a limited market, and the new guy on the block. And I think this was before Ants in Your Pants, actually. So I didn't really have any notoriety. But
you'd think they'd be so, welcome, great to see you. But no, they want you to just disappear from their space. Well, go do some Stompin' Tom songs or something with Banjo Dunk.
Yeah, I think the thing that I never really understood, or certainly even around the Mona with the Children time, was that it's a highly competitive market and world. And you got to have the goods, and you got to have the gumption. You got to really want it. You really want to, go for it, kind of thing.
And you have to be prepared to be exploited.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to be a little. You have to be a little
Don't
mean
I know that?
too, though.
I had an entertainment lawyer here yesterday. Wild episode. Paul Farberman, his name is. He was like working closely with Celine Dion, but you got to listen to this guy's episode. He was at the Tears Are Not Enough recording. I still think Banjo Dunk should have been on Tears Are Not Enough. But
thank you, Mike. You're just making up for your.
Well, I got some more. Don't worry, we're getting Whiskey Jack, and I'm excited to dive into what's new of Whiskey Jack. But this guy yesterday was talking about how he had an opportunity to represent somebody in the Bieber camp, some up-and-coming young star who has great potential. But he actually walked away from the deal because he think the game is so rigged now. He doesn't even want to spend the 3 years of loss to find out. It's just a terrible, terrible industry. Like, I always think, oh my God, like, good luck if you're trying to make it. They can make a living as a musician in this country.
Is it safe to say that maybe there was an element of that all along, but it's a little more prominent today than it was perhaps 25, 30 years ago?
Well, you would know better than me because you've had experience in the business. But
that's why I don't have a Hall of Fame. It's rigged, Mike, I'm sure.
The game is rigged. Hey, I'm going to turn the channel here. I just want to play this because I joke with Mike Epple all the time.
My back still aches when I hear that word.
So I'm always talking to Mike Epple about
way down southern Ontario, never had a nickel or a dime to show. Fella beeps up in an automobile, says you wanna go work on the tobacco field. He said I only give you $7 a day. If you're any good, you get a raise in pay. Your bed's already on the bunkhouse floor. If it gets a little chilly, just close the door. Tilsonburg,
Tilsonburg.
oh Tilsonburg, Tilsonburg. My back still aches when I hear that word.
So we figure if worse comes to worse at Rogers Media, Mike Epple can always go back to Tilsonburg. But every time we joke about him going back to Tilsonburg, I think that I remind him that my back still hurts when I hear that word. All right, so we're listening. This is some Whiskey Jack, right?
That's it.
Okay, so what is new? So much I want to ask you about with Whiskey Jack, but you guys have been kind of together for 10 years now, and Douglas got his way into Whiskey Jack. We've established that, and we've had an episode. I want to shout out episode 565. So write that down, everybody. And it was January 2020. So we got in pre-pandemic here. I remember that dealing was just before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Not good for you guys, but okay. Not good for anybody. In this 565th episode we recorded in January 2020, I chatted with Banjo Dunk about his work with Whiskey Jack and more, and then we kicked out the jams. So if you want a good 100 minutes with the great Banjo Dunk, Duncan Fremlin, that's episode 565. All right, catch us up here. So, a few things I know. One is that you should just promote this right now because people are all hooked. They want to know, how can I see these wonderful gentlemen? How do I see Whiskey Jack? You guys have a December 22nd Christmas show.
No, we had to postpone that. Travel interrupted our schedule, so we've rescheduled that for, I think it's the 26th of January at Free Times Cafe. And we're also, last night I went to the Cameron House to see our one of our new bass players perform, and we're going to be playing there at the end of February for the very first time. We're going to bring the Stompin' Tom show. So we're two shows, really. Douglas and I do our thing as just our material, and then we go on the road and we use Tom's audience. I always say we've borrowed Tom's audience for 10 years, and I couldn't begin to thank him because it gave us an opportunity to play for many hundreds and thousands of people over the last 10 years that we wouldn't otherwise have had. So, but the audience is dying rather rapidly, so it's diminished. Well, that's a fact. And you ask the kids today that are 30 or 40, unless you live in in the Maritimes or something, they don't even know who Stompin' Tom is. So that's the reality. But it doesn't matter to us because we're still here. We're still going. I mean, Whiskey Jack's 48 years. Yeah, but just about 48 years happening, and hey, that's pretty darn good, and we're still...
That's fantastic.
We're still making, you listen to the song, I called you to promote the song, probably the most popular song Whiskey Jack has had since 1979. It's a song that Douglas wrote, and that's really why I called you to beg you if I could come on one more time.
Okay, so because I have some more Whiskey Jack questions here, and this won't be the last time you come on Toronto Mike. I promise you that. But what is the name of the? So you're going to play live. What is the name of the song you're going to play live?
OLD.
OLD. Okay, what does that spell? My goodness gracious! Because I'm going to play a different song just to set the table.
Oh, this is lovely.
Great song.
No bias there.
It's a little slower than we normally play.
Yeah. I was on Quaaludes that day.
This was recorded during COVID.
Oh, let's smile again, for a while again. For a while a smile, it might be in style again. When the style again is to smile again, we might learn to sing a song of love and laugh again. Oh, let's smile again, for a while again. For a while a smile, it might be in style again. When the style again is to smile again, we might learn to sing a song of love and laugh again.
Whatever happened to the friendly smile?
I haven't seen a good one for a while.
Lately, when I'm walking down the street,
People look like they just haven't got a friend to meet. Oh, let's smile again.
There are 4 members of Whiskey Jack, am I right?
Correct.
So I have 2 members in this basement right now. So I have 50% of Whiskey Jack down here. Name the 2 people that are not in the basement right now.
Billy McGuinness from Brockville, Ontario, originally from Prince Edward Island, toured with Stompin' Tom's fiddle player, keyboard player, guitar player, very super talented, terrific young man, great singer as well. Originally from Prince Edward Island, toured with Tom for 13 years. And we have a couple of bass players. We have James McElhenney from here in the city, and Chris Adrians,
Adrians.
who I went to see last night at the Cameron House. So I love this, Mike. Here we are. We're kind of aging musicians, and we've been doing this a long time. And these bass players, these young kids come in, and they add an energy and a perspective to this music that is, I think, given Douglas and I a whole new breath in this, and we're more enthused about the music today. I'm more enthused today than I've been in a long time. So
That's because you're seeing me.
partially because I get to be on this program every once in a while. I'm not on the webpage, but I'm on the program, and it's pretty
And
exciting.
you're on the webpage.
And I'm now on this program. I'm an FOTM. I'm
Yes.
very excited.
Absolutely. So you are an FOTM. You're also OLD. And we're going to hear OLD in a moment, but I did get an email. I'm on your email distribution list. So a couple of things. So firstly, I apologize. I had old notes that says you were playing on December 22nd at the Free
No,
Times
it's okay.
Cafe. That got bumped to January, but you will be at the Free Times Cafe. Did they? I can't remember. Did they name the Cameron House after Douglas John Cameron? Is that true or false?
Oh, they should have.
They should have.
They didn't though.
Love that the Cameron. I love the Cameron House. Okay, that is amazing. Now we're gonna hear OLD in a minute, but I want to ask you about another radio, like a terrestrial radio show. Okay, so this is Tuesday morning. You're gonna perform OLD 2 days from now on Thursday morning at about 9 a.m. Are you going to play OLD on the morning Zoom,
Yes.
which is a radio show?
Yes, Andy and Jane. So there's a backstory to this.
Yeah, because then I have a little fun fact about Andy, and of course Jane Brown, a legend. So let's hear.
Yeah. So a few weeks ago, I got an email from Leanne, who's Moses' personal assistant,
Yeah.
and I've worked with Moses. We've done Idea City. I've been on the show many times. They've been very supportive of Whiskey Jack, and I've done many shows at the Zoomer Hall with Gordon Lightfoot and the Good Brothers and Prairie Oyster and all that. So
Nice.
I've had a pretty good, he calls me family, and I'm pretty pleased about that. So I get a call a few weeks ago from Leanne saying that Moses would like to speak to me, and that's a mysterious thing. What's that
that's
all about?
exciting.
Yeah, for sure. So
When Moses wants to speak to you.
yeah, so I go in one afternoon, and this is the powerhouse. We've got Paul, the program director. We've got Leanne. We've got Moses. And I'm in his big office, and it's very playful.
When was this?
This was a month and a half ago.
Wow.
And it's so much fun. I mean, we're just we're so comfortable with each other. So anyway, he bought a radio station in Owen Sound, and he had this idea that Tom's song "Around the Bay and Back Again" would be kind of a good song because it mentions some of the towns around there, and so we discussed using that, the likelihood of that, and the possibilities. So I suggested our version's better than Tom's version. He might want to use that one instead. But that was, and then I said, really what you need is a brand new song. And his eyes lit up. He got pretty excited. So Douglas and I got together and we sent him another song about 3 weeks ago. We wrote one sort of along the same line, sent it in to him. And so on Thursday, when I see Leanne and Andy in the game, I'll find out what the status. So the idea, Mike, is for that song to be the signature song for the new radio station in Owen Sound, which I think goes on the air January 1st if the CRTC approves all this. So, and the other.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So slow your roll there. So
Yeah.
Perry Sound, where you can actually visit a
Owen
lovely
Sound, sorry.
Owen
Owen
Sound.
Sound. Yeah.
Okay, not
Yeah.
Perry Sound.
No.
Okay, well,
That's
In-
two
they're two
different
different
sounds.
sounds.
Two
Yeah.
different sounds, pal.
Yeah. Thanks.
Perry Sound, which is not Owen Sound. I'll get back to Owen Sound in a minute because I want to make a point about Moses and like commissioning songs for his media properties. But Perry Sound has a bookstore called Barely Used Books.
Yes.
And I just want to shout out this wonderful bookstore because I understand, because I've received emails from a Karen who's letting me know that you can walk into Barely Used Books in Perry Sound and buy a copy of My Good Times with Stompin' Tom, and it's a beautiful stocking stuffer, like 'tis the season to buy a copy for the music fan in your life.
Absolutely. If I can just do also, anybody who's in that Muskoka area that's in the Perry Sound area, there used to be a used bookstore in the Village in New York City that was 2 or 3 stories, and you walk in this place and billions of books. You'd go dizzy trying to, I forget what it's called, but anyway, this is here in Perry Sound. They have a store just like that. And Melissa Henderson or not Henderson, what's her last? Anyway, Melissa owns the place, and this is easily the best used bookstore in Canada. So if you're in the Perry Sound
no
area,
doubt about it.
Make a beeline.
And you can trade your books in
Yeah.
and get credit for them.
Yeah.
So people up there, and I spend a bit of time in the summertime up there. You just constantly are taking books to barely used books.
How long a drive is it from Perry
2
Sound
hours.
to Owen Sound?
Oh,
Owen
that no,
Sound?
that's
It's a bit of a hike.
yeah, that's about an hour and a half.
You have to go around the bay.
Yeah.
I still get my ports mixed up, like my Port Hope and my Port Perry mixed up.
Yeah.
'Cause, my buddy Retro Ontario lives in Port Perry, but I think Ziggy from speaking of Zoomer, Ziggy,
Do you have a learning disability, Mike?
probably
I got
multiple.
I famously got Port Colborne and Port Stanley mixed up. once.
Because I get there's a Colburn and a there's two similar sounding names off the 401.
Is that when you took your wife to the wrong
Yeah,
town?
I took
Douglas?
for it was when we were first dating, and I took her on a weekend getaway to the wrong town.
Oh, what was it? A nice town?
No,
Oh,
I won't
that's,
mention names, but I got them mixed up, and I went to the one, not the other. I was supposed
Well, don't get your sounds mixed up. So Owen Sound, just back to that real quick,
Yeah.
and then I want to hear more from Duncan, then I want to hear you guys perform live. But I got to bring out a fun fact about Andy from the Andy and Jane show on the Morning Zoom, which is when City TV launched, Moses commissioned Tommy Ambrose to record a song called People City. And he envisioned that being like, that's the anthem, and for a period of time in the early 70s, I guess it was. But People City, there's an interesting documentary about People City and Tommy Ambrose that was made by Ed Retro Ontario Conroy, who lives in Perry. No, which one? He lives in Port Perry. But he is actually my guest. I'm just going to shed this out on Thursday when you guys are on the Morning Zoom with Andy and Jane. We'll be dropping Christmas Crackers Volume 6 with Ed Retro Ontario Conroy, and don't miss that. But I wanted to give you the fun fact about Andy really, really quickly here, which is when I started producing the Humble and Fred podcast in 2006, it's because Humble and Fred were fired from Mix 99.9. Well, the producer, at some point, Howard, I know it's a boring story as I hear it in my head, but he reemerges on Easy Rock. I love Easy Rock. And then it becomes Boom 97.3. Anyway, the producer of that show was Andy Wilson, and I'm going to see Andy Wilson on December 22nd at Kelsey's in Burlington for a Humble and Fred live recording. So Andy Wilson, who was producing that show for Humble Howard, and Colleen Rushholm, if you know Colleen, is now the morning show host of this Morning Zoom with Jane Brown, the legend, and you guys are going to be there Thursday to perform OLD.
That's it.
So I'm basically the two big stops in this promotional tour
You're
of
the
OLD.
No, you're the first.
You're
I'm the first. I'm the first. But then you're going to close up big with a actual terrestrial radio appearance. That's exciting.
Can we just tell the backstory to this as well?
Yeah.
We've been playing this song. One of the reasons that we've gone to so much trouble to do all this is that we've been playing this song since he wrote it in the spring at all of our shows, including the Stomp and Tom shows, and never in the last 40 years or so have we seen a reaction to a song that we got from this one. The timing is perfect given the demographic of our audience, but even the kids who have senior parents at home are running up to us and saying, "Where can we get this song? Dad would love this song."
Right.
So we know a hit when we see one, and hopefully.
Is it possible that this will be the third hit song I've written? Is that in the realm of
Wow. Because then you can go on nostalgia tours and you can retire on that if you have 3 hits. Like OLD could be the third hit here.
Not to say, Mike, that Dave Hodge
I
is going to acknowledge this at all.
Does that upset you when he doesn't?
Well, come on. I mean, what's it take to get on the top 100 for crying? Especially when 99 of the songs that he advertises I've never even heard of. So what the hell?
I just wanted to pick up on something you said there, Mike.
No, I like it. Okay, yes, but I like it when Dunk goes off on Dave Hodge, who's just the biggest lover of music on the planet, but he's not loving He's not loving Whiskey Jack.
I didn't see him at the Cameron House last night.
He moved too far away. He's missing out. Okay.
Don't hold a grudge, please.
He's in Grimsby now. That's a
Grimsby.
long track. Yeah, he's in Grimsby.
No, you were saying that, I could go on the nostalgia tour. I feel that I'm already on the nostalgia tour. I think if you really want to be honest about things.
So here's what I would like to do. So you need to get some stuff ready here. Like I'm going to give you gifts while you get your guitars and stuff.
Yep.
Remember, you're tethered, just so you know. You got
Okay.
headphones on, so do your thing. So Banjo Dunk is gonna grab. I guess there's some instruments, and he's putting on the hat. And this is all happening. Don't hit your head, Douglas. I am giving you guys fresh craft beer from Great Lakes Brewery.
Wow.
You're
Okay.
taking home fresh craft beer. There's a couple of packs on the table here for you. Great Lakes Brewery, that's where I first, well, maybe not first, because you have come by to celebrate the fact that you were conceived on my street. We didn't tell that story, but
No,
that's
that's a
exciting.
good story.
That's a good story. We won't name the street, but let's just say there was some screwing going on back in the day, and the next thing you know, there's a Douglas John Cameron. Okay, so fresh craft beer from Great Lakes Brewery. I met you at the Great Lakes Brewery at a TMLX event. I hope you guys come out to the next one, which will probably be in June 2025. You guys should come out and play
Well,
at
we
TMLX
should.
event.
That would be.
What do I have to do to get that
so-
action? And what
so-
instrument is that, Dunk? Before
That's the banjola.
That's the banjola.
banjola we were
It's-
talking about
It's
before.
beautiful. Okay, what were you gonna say there?
I wanted to say that event that you had, that I was at, I was supposed to play with Blair Packham that night.
What happened?
So what happened was Blair had a band. He had a bass player and a drummer, and the drummer couldn't make it, and
David Quinton Steinberg.
and he got me to come to play drums, but the other guy quit. They all quit on him.
Oh, that was a big. Yes, he told me his band
His-
quit on him that day.
They all quit on him. I was actually there the night they quit. It was a terrible experience. But I was supposed to come and play drums with Blair, and when it didn't work out, I came anyway, and I had a great time. I loved it.
I play hockey with one of the guys he fired, one of the guys that quit. So I know the backstory.
Well,
I'm just telling.
which one was it? Fired or quit? Was he
No,
get
they
it?
quit.
They quit.
They quit.
Interesting, because since then, of course, Blair got the Jitters back together, and they had a reunion. The Jitters.
Yes.
I wonder if
How's
it's all
that going?
related.
At Hughes Room, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you got the beer. I have in my
Oh,
freezer. I have fresh. It's not fresh. It's frozen actually. The beer's fresh. The lasagna is frozen, and
This
it is from Palma Pasta.
That's amazing.
If you came to that TMLX event, you would have had a
I
meal.
did have some. I did.
Palma Pasta fed us.
Yes.
Blair has been on the show so many times. He's got a freezer full of these things, and he sells these things at his shows. Did you know that, Douglas?
Blair was at Palma's Kitchen for TMLX 17 a month ago. I could see him selling those. I also, you guys, I've already mentioned that Ridley Funeral Home has sent over the measuring tapes for you. So you guys can measure anything you like.
They can. Are they going to measure
measure
me for the box?
the
that they're gonna-
banjola. Yeah,
They're going to put me in.
They can help
Oh.
you. They can outfit you for a good.
Oh, that's this one here.
yeah.
I need
there
one
you
of
go.
those.
Oh, but the first, so that because I'm
That's
looking forward to
amazing.
this
Look at
live
that
performance
scroll.
of OLD. Yeah, you got a measuring tape, you got lasagna, you got beer, you have it's a wireless speaker from Maneras, so you can listen to season 7 of Yes We Are Open, which is an award-winning podcast from Maneras, hosted by FOTM Al Grego, who went to Winnipeg. And I believe Fred Penner splits his time between Toronto and Winnipeg. He spends like half the year in Winnipeg, half the year in Toronto, because you're the aspiring Fred Penner, I know. And I will just let people know these are great stories in this podcast. Yes, we're open, and you guys should subscribe and
I'll check
listen.
it out.
Last but not least, recyclemyelectronics.ca is where you guys go if you have old banjolas. No, I don't know if that's an electrical. That's not really electrical, is it? Okay, if you had old tech, old electronics, old cables, don't
Oh.
throw it in the garbage. Go to recycle my old vibrators. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca and then put in your postal code and find out where you can drop it off to be properly recycled so those chemicals do not end up in our landfill. Got it, Douglas?
What a great idea. That's an
it's great.
amazing thing.
Well, in 2025, they've renewed for. See, I had a sponsor once, Banjo Dunk, and then the pandemic hit. But Recycle My Electronics are back for all of 2025, and we're happy to have them. All right, you guys can take over. Do you guys need another mic setup, or is this okay?
I think it'll work.
Yeah, it's fine.
We'll make
Okay,
it work.
so yeah, you know those mics, you got to be right on them. So I'm gonna just be quiet and listen to you guys.
So
I'm
there's
excited.
A little bit of an intro. Yeah, you know, I've recently had a lot of medical tests done. You know, all the various poking and prodding and the taking of fluids and
The camera.
the camera, all that business. And, you know, I went in to get the results and meet my doctor, and it kind of went like this. I went to see my doctor. She said, son, I'm afraid to say you got a serious condition and it ain't gonna go away. I can't write you a prescription 'cause there ain't no remedy. In the end, it will be fatal. You got the OLD. I got the OLD. the OLD. Well, I never would have guessed I'd be in this mess, and it's bound to get the best of me. The runway's getting shorter, can't see the forest or the trees. I kinda look the same, I'm losing the game. I got the OLD. She said it's actually quite common. And the early symptoms, they're not so bad. You'll have occasional discomfort. You might want to purchase a heating pad. Folks will say that you don't look any different, but they are only being kind. 'Cause pretty soon your keys, your wallet, and your glasses are impossible to find. You got the OLD. You got the OLD. You better find a place to save some face, 'cause this'll be a tragedy. You might think that you won't catch it, but it's gonna get you. Wait and see. So chin up, dude, get over it soon. You got the OLD. You ready for the bridge? Here it comes. I probably won't survive another fall. Does anybody here know anything about playing the pickleball? The younger generation, they're all full of vim and verve. They'll come seeking explanation when time throws them that mighty curve. And we should offer explanation. Say, hey man, check out my brand new knees. It ain't completely wretched, no. We all get the OLD. We got the OLD. We got the OLD. Well, it ain't so bad, so don't feel so sad and retain your dignity. There is one consolation, it's pretty plain to see. It's just our fate, nobody escapes. We all get the OLD. You know it's just our fate, nobody escapes. We all get the OLD. Hey, Duncan, did I come here with a sweater? I swear did I? I think I had a, did I?
It's in the fridge.
Oh, I got the OLD.
Honestly, I think you have a third hit on your hand, Douglas. Honestly, that's great. That's a sing-along. Everybody's going to love it, young and old. Amazing. Take that, Andy and Jane. That premiered here. I mean, not premiered here, but that I got it first. And
this is
excellent. Thank you so much for that live performance. Yeah, we got to get you guys to an TMLX event to play. Maybe I should commission a song where you guys write a Toronto mic'd the Whiskey Jack write and perform a Toronto mic'd song. So if somebody wanted to purchase that it's the holiday season, right? Everybody's got to buy a gift for their not just their gramps and their grandma, but of course their dad and mom and everybody who's got the OLD. I feel it coming on here too. I think I got a little taste of the OLD. How do we get our mitts on that?
We're having I can't say we're duking it out over this, but, it is on the streaming platforms, which is all well and good. Who doesn't like those bloodsuckers? But you can also download it for free, and on our website, you do have the option to leave us a few bucks if you want to do that, but you can download it for free. We're giving it sort of pay what you can. And we're having some success with that. So if they get on our website, whiskeyjackmusic.com, it's under music, and there's a whole series of songs there. But at the one of them is OLD, and we encourage people to download it rather than do it through the streaming services. And fact is, if you have headphones on like we have today, boy, there's no comparison. The quality of the production is so much better on your when you do it from a hard drive as opposed to streaming. So
Yeah, and that's best to buy directly from the artist.
Yeah.
Because those streamers are out to screw you.
yeah, they're not doing us any favors, really.
Wow. Okay. And so it's been a while. It's been over 40 years of Whiskey Jack, and in many regards, just like sensing the aura in the room, the energy in the room, it feels like you guys are kind of just getting started. Like, am I right? Like,
No, thanks a lot. But no, I'm serious. I can't tell you the energy that we put into this, and
I can sense it. Like, I feel it.
I mean, the audience reaction we get, I easily say every night is a standing ovation. I don't care whether it's a beautiful theater in Quebec or we got a standing ovation in Quebec or the the provincial park shows there. Here we got there was one, I think 300 or 400 people at one of these parks, and at the end of it, first of all, they're out there dancing to Ants in Your Pants, and at the end of it, they're standing up asking us to sing more. So come on, we got something going here.
I think as well, Duncan's, almost 50 years experience, my own experience going back to, at least 40 years ago. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to play music whether or not there's an audience, whether or not there's an opportunity. And so it's so much fun, and it's such a wonderful thing to be able to do as we go into our twilight years, as it is. It's just entirely gratifying. So yeah, we're having a blast.
And Douglas, how was this Toronto Mike debut for you? Like, how was this experience?
Oh my God, I think this has been. I've sometimes, and it's not that I've been skeptical, but I've sometimes wondered, like, what's the big deal? And I now know, like,
why Blair keeps coming back?
Well, it's not just that. There's, the interesting thing is I feel connected. I feel connected to all these people that we know in common, the histories that seem to intersect, all the stuff that goes on and all the various people. I mean, I have listened to, some of your episodes.
Well, we did play some Mona with the children for when Bernie was on. Yeah, absolutely came up.
So yeah, and hearing Mona with the children today in the headphones and like that was amazing. I'm really impressed by that.
Well, I'll give you a few more minutes now that I hear this praise heaped on me, because when you first came, I'll make room for that. Okay, but you did have comments about the space, and then I said, shut your pie hole and save it for the recording. But this space, it's not too cramped. It's not too small a space to record such a monster podcast production.
Oh, so those recordings that you played of some of the Whiskey Jack Stomp and Tom stuff, some of that stuff was recorded in a bedroom at my cottage during COVID. We've been sort of downsizing the whole recording aspect of what we do.
Right.
And it's very much like what you've got on the go here, which I find quite remarkable. Watching you twiddle the dials and push the levers.
It's got a WKRP kind of feel to this place. It's pretty unsophisticated.
No, and it's also like what radio was, certainly for decades and decades. And I have to say that the other thing about this is that I'm on the street that my mother grew up on in New Toronto. She would never talk about her experiences growing up in New Toronto. Very, very, very small stories that she would tell. She worked at Mahar's shoe store. She quit school in grade 10. She met my dad. They ran away from New Toronto to Midland, Ontario, where I grew up. And I used to know the number of the house, and it's a little bit further down the street from here where my grandparents lived. So I feel like this is amazing.
You came home.
Yeah.
You're home, buddy.
Yeah.
You're home here in New Toronto. And Dunk, on a personal note here, before we hear some Rob Bruce covering Lowest of the Low.
God, he's been on the show a dozen times too. He must have.
He lives in New York City.
He must have a freezer full of these things. Anyway, sorry, Mike, I got a little distracted.
No, he comes up. Well, his mom does live in Burlington, but he does make a trip every month from New York City because he's a member of the Toast team, and we record monthly. So
Yes.
Bruce, great supporter. But I want to thank you because you wrote. Am I remembering correctly? You did write a letter of recommendation for my second born to McGill. Did this happen? Or
Yeah.
Am I misconflating?
No, because she did some work for me. She was a bit of consultant because I needed help solving some of the issues I had with my recording setup, and she knew all of this stuff like the back of her hand. So she was very helpful. So all I did was put a letter together saying that Michelle is pretty skilled, and then the thing is that what she demonstrated was her ability, and this'll get her a long way in life. Is she's a problem solver. I gave her a couple of problems that were unsolvable as far as I was concerned, but she knew how to figure it out.
So I wore this hoodie because I knew you were coming over, and she's in her third year at McGill right now.
Amazing.
And thank you for writing that, and thank you for the kind words. And she's actually, just in a couple of days, she'll be back in Toronto for the Christmas break, and I haven't seen her since Thanksgiving. So looking forward to seeing Michelle, and I really, really, really am glad we finally got Douglas John Cameron on Toronto Mike. We've been working on this for years.
Thank you.
Tell Karen we worked on this for years, okay?
Great to be here.
Karen giving me a hard time. Does Karen know that you're coming home with lasagna?
Hey,
I know it wasn't really Karen, but it's fun
if
to pretend
Lily
it was.
knew that I was coming home with lasagna,
That's mine.
Oh, okay.
You guys are going to have to share it. No, I do have 2 in the freezer.
Okay.
And you guys, you each get some fresh
Thank
craft
you.
beer. You guys, I took care of you guys. I'm a big Whiskey Jack fan here.
Thanks,
I love
Mike.
OLD. Love the song.
Thank you.
And I hope you're not nearly as good on the Zoomer morning show in 2 days. Like I hope I hope I listen and I'm completely underwhelmed by the 4 minutes where they didn't get these great stories about John. Sorry, what's your name? How many names you got over there? Douglas, John, Cameron.
Just call me Dougie.
Yeah, there's
Call
a
me
lot of
Dougie.
names you threw in there, but I
Sorry,
hope they don't get the story about your parents banging on my street here. So I hope that story's left on the cutting room floor. But thank you guys for making the trek, and we're gonna take our photo by the Toronto tree. And then I think that'll be your third hit, maybe, if OLD is not your third hit. We'll take a great photo. But love this so much. Everybody get OLD. In January, you guys can see Whiskey Jack at the Free Times Cafe. When's this Cameron House thing?
February, I think it's the 28th. It's Friday 6 o'clock show. And the whole
Amazing.
band's going to be there. We're bringing Billy in from Brockville and the whole thing.
And I'm gonna see when I see Andy Wilson on Sunday. We're gonna chat about you guys
Great.
and who had you best. So we'll
Great.
compare notes here.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,602nd show. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. I'm on Blue Sky at Toronto Mike. Much love to all who made this possible. Again, that's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, Moneris, and Ridley Funeral Home. Tomorrow, I'm dropping a Christmas special with Ron Sexsmith. Look for that in your Toronto Mike feed. Drop in tomorrow morning. See you all then.